So, welcome back or welcome to No Shame, whatever which way you want to look at it. We haven't been here for a little while. Our first few shows through the Limor app went really well, good feedback, but we decided that we wanted to take a little bit of time away and then build a studio. So, we're now here in the No Shame studio at SBG Dublin 24, powered by Limor. And it looks pretty cool. I'm pretty comfortable. It's pretty warm. There's tea, and they were all in my boxes that I had to take off. So today, my name's Paddy Holohan. If you don't know me, the hooligan Holohan. I'm a former UFC fighter. Was part of the Irish invasion that kind of took on the world of MMA, and I now own a gym, SBG Dublin 24 here, hand built, Holohan built, which is better built. Our plan is to kind of build a team and make this kind of Irish invasion get stronger and keep on going again. But today, one of the most reasons why I set up this and the story of me getting into this podcasting was that I met Shane Monaghan. Shane Monaghan is a former Leinster player, former professional rugby player. He was on a show called Wimp the Warrior, which is a contestants. They train for 6 months. Then they compete against each other. So I met Shane over that little journey, and it was good to be able to stand there that night and do his corner and watch what he was doing. But we've been on a little bit of a journey for a while. We went to London. We've had some crack with the Limor app so far. But today I have a guy in here that is the equivalent of what adventure is. So Tom Crean, being a huge man and a huge inspiration to me, Shane said, I know a Tom Crean. So I'd like to introduce former rugby star, professional rugby player, Damian Browne here. Also an adventurer. So do you want to introduce yourself, Damian? So let us know.
Thanks very much for having me, Paddy. It's a pleasure to be here
Pleasure.
in your gym, and for Shane for the invite as well. I was lucky enough to have a 16-year career in professional rugby. And it was very fruitful. Nothing but gratitude for that time in my life. But I parked it there a couple of years ago, consciously, and I started exploring some challenges and adventures, and just travel as well. Getting out and seeing the world after being kind of cocooned into that environment of pro sport.
Yeah, I know how that feels.
So it was basically just a lust for freedom and just to wander a little bit, and then to push myself as well and push my boundaries and just keep learning, So for the last kind of 2 years I've been I've been kind of traveling around the world, going into corners of the world that most people don't venture to for numerous reasons, and then just taking on some personal challenges that I had on for want of a better expression, a bucket list for a while. So the next one, the big one, is coming up. I know we're going to talk a lot about it, but in about 2 weeks I'm flying out to prepare to row across the Atlantic Ocean on my own. So
On your own.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So so I've kind of went down the rabbit hole the last few days, especially when Shane said it to me and he gave me a name. I was on Google straight away with it, and you're definitely the type of guy that enjoys your own company. I'm like that as well. I like to kind of have my own time and my own space away from stuff that, like, away from technology, away from my phone if you must. But when you're playing rugby, what makes you're in a team environment there. So what makes you kind of want to go on something that you're on? I know fighting on its own, it's very team based, but then when you're in there, you're half in the nip, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So I know you've been surrounded by big rugby players, you play second row and stuff like that. So what makes you want to extract yourself from that? And coming up to retirement, did you know that, do you know what, I want to test myself after this, and the reason why I am retiring is to, like, start a new life, start a new chapter of your journey?
It's a lot got to do with what you get from spending time on your own, and the rewards you get from that. And I suppose over time I'm an introverted guy, and I take no shame in saying I touch on a loner at times, so, but I get a lot of reward from being on my own. You get to know yourself pretty well.
Yeah.
That's quite a powerful thing, if you know yourself and you know what you're about and what you stand for. So although I was in a team environment, and of course I enjoyed it hugely, you know, I enjoyed being around the lads. It wasn't as if I was sitting in the corner shaking, like, you know.
No, definitely.
But
give that man a hug.
yeah, exactly. Is he okay over there? But yeah, no, I just you know, I after training I had like I go home and I'd just spend time on my own and just do my own kind of thing, you know, and I had no issues with that. I wasn't afraid to be on my own, I suppose, the best way to put it. So you know, the getting out of rugby, it was just a very natural kind of evolution, you know, that I would go kind of traveling on my own. And you know, if the thing that I didn't want to hold me back was if like I didn't have somebody to go and then I'd go like to different parts of the world or try something, that would stop me going and taking on something, you know. So I just said, you know, fuck it, man. I'm gonna if nobody wants to come with me, it's not gonna stop me going. So
the fuck attitude.
Yeah.
But do you know what? And you're touching on a really big thing there as well, because a lot of people do associate with, if you are on your own, you're on your own if you must. You know what I mean? Like, because I love being on my own.
Sure.
Like, I love a little bit of time where sometimes maybe I have to go away and I have to stay in a hotel somewhere. I kind of look forward to being in that little surrounds on my own, like walking around in the nip, of course, you know, looking telly on, watching nothing, you know what I mean, licking peanut butter off a spoon, the usual sort of stuff. But I think people don't really know what it's like to be on your own, but they associate it with being, as you said, like a loner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's not, because I would be the same. Where maybe I don't know whether it's been so much hectic in a professional sport for so long, because I would be a retired professional athlete, you're a retired professional athlete, and so we're kind of probably on the same wavelength, as in, like, sometimes you find like that peace, because for so long people have been asking you, how do you feel, how's it going to go, like kind of asking you to tell the future if you must, and it can be a little bit of a, when it all shuts off, a few weeks go past, the people move forward a little bit, and then you kind of get left in this nice little space that's like, oh, it's kind of quiet around here, you know what I mean, and your phone's not beeping as much and stuff like that. And I don't know, but I love it, I enjoy it. Like, I miss my sport, I miss fighting, but the idea of being retired as well and being excited about going on a different journey as well is exciting to me. So another thing I found as I went down the rabbit hole looking at your stuff as well is how do I pronounce it? The Das Sables, is it?
The Marathon des Sables, yeah.
Das Sables, yeah. So I'm the worst at, when I'm reading this stuff last night, I was like, the Sables. the Sables. So that's 6 marathons over each, so a marathon a day for 6 days through the desert.
The equivalent of, like, so it was 257 kilometers over 6 days. That is the equivalent to 6 marathons, 6 days. Now, it's not exactly that distance every day, you know. For example, the first 3 days would have just been short of a marathon distance, and then day 4 is actually a double marathon, so 84 kilometers or 52 miles. And yeah, that was it. It happened last year. I did it. That was the kind of first major personal challenge I wanted to take on. I saw a documentary on it like 10, 12 years ago or so. And I just knew that was for me. It was something I would do someday. So when I got kind of finished rugby, I said, well, listen, I'm going to take off for 6 months, do a little bit of traveling, and then I'm going to come home and train for 6 months for that, you know, and prepare, you know, because you have to prepare to take on these challenges if you want to be anyway successful at them. So, yeah, I gave myself that kind of window to take it on and to kind of get the body back into a bit of decent nick after just 6 months of kind of letting everything go once rugby finished. So, yeah, it was great, really powerful experience. Just the power was really in finally do something you had so much kind of thoughts over the years about doing, and kind of getting to the start line, and then sharing that experience with other people, you know, because the way they run the race is real smart. So we sleep in like a Berber tent, which is a local tribe. It's basically just a burlap sack, you know, with a stick in the middle of it. But we sleep in those.
Well, half a star. Huh? Well, half a star accommodation.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So for the middle of the Sahara, it's about the best you can do. And they put 8 people in there, but they put people from the same country. So I was in there with 8 Irishmen and women. So
the crack was mighty.
The crack was great. You know, you can't beat the Irish sense of humour, like especially when it's suffering, you know, and the self-deprecation. Yeah, it was great. So yeah, you just, as you know, through fighting, and I got to know through rugby, when you suffer together, it just accelerates everything, accelerates your relationships. And 6 days later we were all like best mates, and you're getting invited to their weddings like 6 months later and that sort of stuff. You only spent 6 days together, but that's the way it is. And those experiences are extremely powerful. You learn a lot when you're going through them. So.
They don't find you them, as you said. And as an adventurer, you have to go and seek them experiences. And I think the huge part of that is knowing that things like that are going to happen, and you don't know what's going to happen. The kind of the buzz of anxiety in that way, but like for me, like to think of running through a desert would like. I would need like a sponsorship from sun cream or something, like, do you tan or like? Did you have to think? These 8 Irish people in the desert in a tent?
They backed up a huge like.
Was there any ginger lads? That's what I'm saying. Was there any ginger lads?
There was plenty of them, of course, yeah. But you just make sure, like, there's just the practical side of it. You just make sure that like the sun is on your skin as little as possible. Because just because you're under such kind of duress and fatigue.
And do you run at night or do you run?
No, we run during the day. Like only the night. When we do the double marathon, of course, that goes through the night, unless you're a local lad, because there's a few Moroccans there, and they did the double marathon in just over 8 hours. And this is like up and down mountains. You're going through like softs. You're going through big high dunes. You're going through flat soft sand, which was the worst by a mile, because when you're running, you obviously the faster you want to go, it's all about the force production when you push off the ground. This sand is giving way underneath your foot, and you don't know how much is going to give way or not. So it's a complete mental battle every time, And then add in the night, when you're going through that at night, you can't even see where you're putting your foot. So, yeah, like hours and hours and hours of that can grind the man down. So, the mental challenge is as big as the physical. But, yeah, you're going, like I said, the terrain is all sorts. So, like, for these lads to do that in 8 hours is just mind-blowing. I don't know. It took me 25, so I was a little bit behind them.
That's what I was about to say. You said at the start, it's just under a marathon. But then they throw in a double marathon.
On day,
they're just messing around at the start. Then just testing the lads at the start. That's what they're doing. We'll see how they get on with this, and then we give them a double marathon. But like that's what I can imagine. Like that's what I was thinking about, the sand and stuff like that. Running on the sand, being like the terrain that you're in, and like things like snakes and scorpions and stuff like that would. Like, how does the footwork or does you just forget about that after, like...
No, the scorpion's actually an interesting one, because there's a mandatory list, of equipment you have to have, and one of them is a scorpion bite kit. Now, I don't think many people get to use it, but you have to bring one, that just sharpens the mind a little bit when you're, going to the toilet, which can be anywhere. There's no toilet, so it's wherever you want it to be. Just move it down.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
I can't see your face.
Can't see your face.
All right, so
that's the money. That's the money shot.
There you go.
Make sure you get the pretty face in.
So the scorpions, that's that's an initial worry, but you get past that pretty quickly, because it's so far down the list of priorities.
Yeah.
Now the feet is it was personally a huge one, because it could put an absolute the kibosh on your actually finishing, because that's what it takes out a lot of people, and you're on your feet for so long, and the blisters lads get, then they just once they get them, they just manifest and they grow, and so what I did was I had an idea. Now it nearly backfired on me, but I was like, so I used to tape up my ankles quite a bit in rugby, so we used to use a certain type of tape, the same as you lads when you're fighting.
Like the doctor kind of tape, the zinc oxide.
The zinc oxide, exactly. It's real hard stuff. So I said, I'll try that, but what I'll do is I'll build up to it, so I'll put it on for, like, this is, say, 4 to 6 weeks pre-race. I said I'll put it on for a day, then take it off, then 2 days, take it off, 3 days, blah, blah, blah. I got up to 5 days, thinking like that'll be kind of what I need now, because the rest will just be, it doesn't matter once you're out there.
Yeah.
So I got up to 5 days, left it on, took it off, and it took all the skin with it.
I was just thinking about that, with the heat.
This has backfired massively on me. So I got, like, I was only a week off going to the desert, or a week and a half, so I was like, well, just let them recover as much as I can and get down to the seawater and just dip them in every day and see what I can kind of recover, and then I'll make a call on it in the desert.
Right. In the desert.
I decided the night before, I said, again, fuck it, I'm just going to go with it and tape them up and then deal with whatever happens, you know. And thankfully it worked out for me, you know. It stayed on for the 6 days because it's great stuff. And then you don't care after that, you know. Like I didn't do my small 3 toes on either side, and after day 1 they were blistered. So I got somebody in the tent to do them, who really appreciated that job. I'd say after running a marathon.
Stop! I'd say they remember that they're still at home twitching. I'd say,
shivering,
smelling them feet. But I actually did see a picture of your feet taped up, and it's like, wow, size of them feet. No, but they. It's hard work. It's it definitely is the picture of like, wow, like that's exactly what it takes to go through. But like, and like going through something like that, when you're in the darkest of the fire of that time. Now I know you say you're with a group of people, you know, when you're in that like depth of your soul where it's just you, and you're nearly talking back to yourself. You know what I mean? And you can feel little aches in your feet and stuff like that, and you're like, just keep going and stuff like that. Like to me. It was always my son that I probably thought of, or the idea of pushing forward for him, you know, that I used that as a motivation all through my career. Like, what do you find in that darkness that's like deep down there?
Oh, it's a good question. You can go, like, it's not always one thing, you know, for me anyway. I can go hugely different ways. Like I may kind of relate back to, you know, somebody who's important or whatever.
Exactly.
But I could literally focus in on just the process. I know it's an unbelievably boring thing to say, but it works. It seriously works, you know, because you're giving yourself back control there of what's happening, you know. So, you know, when you're getting all that, like, that and getting into that negative mindset and that weak mindset, you know, you have to kind of break it. And a way to do it is just to really focus in on the process of what's happening, and it might be down to just concentrating on how your feet are going into the ground, and how you're pushing out your feet, and, you know, the position of your lower back, because, you know, obviously when you're in that scenario, like, you're on your feet for so long, you know, so little things like that. And I'm a kind of I'm really interested in, like, the power of the mind and the body and when they're put together. So I'm always kind of delving into that, and I like to explore that a little bit in my training, you know. So I do a lot of, like, mental resets as well, you know, stuff like where well, firstly you have to be aware that you're getting into that negative mindset, which is a hard enough thing in itself,
because
you know.
go so far that it's
you're just
it's hard
deep
to come
into
back,
it. So it has to be an awareness there, and then it's just creating a positive mindset. So I know the Navy SEALs do a lot of this, is where they have, like, some sort of cut, like, mantra, you know. It has to be quite personal and it has to be quite blunt, you know. And then it'll be just trying to start the positive mindset again. So I use a lot of affirmations in that case, you know, stuff like, now it's going to sound really corny, but I would be like, okay, I'd be saying to myself, you're a machine, you're unbreakable, you're unstoppable, and it's just a way of getting out of the negative mindset and into the positive mindset. So it'd be very personal, but I tell you what, it works. It works a treat. And when you're in that position, you want something that works.
Oh, that's that would be like fighting, jiu-jitsu, all this is. I say to guys that I teach, when you're in positions and you're tired and your heart rate is up, it's easy to train out there and do something, and it's like, easy, next one. But try put yourself in the mindset of being tired, being on bottom, being a little bit beat up, you know, like, and visualization of it is really is everything, isn't it? And I think, like, I know lots of times I used to, like, picture the doors, picture what colours the handles were on the place that we fought in, and I recognised them. And I knew when I got there, sometimes when I'd walk in I'd be nervous, and seeing them things would really encourage me a little bit. Maybe I've been here before, I've seen this, you know what I mean? So, like, the next journey, let me go into that. So that had to be an incredible experience in the desert, no doubt. But now you're going from the scorching heat to probably the freezing cold as well, you know. So the dry and sandy to the wet and salty.
Absolutely.
So you set off on a one-man journey.
Yeah.
It's 4,800 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean. And it's a one-man journey. You rowed a boat. There's no engine in the boat. It's a single vessel, and it's you've obviously been training for this and preparing for this for a long time.
Yeah. So you're right. It's completely man-powered. So I've been. So when I came out of the MDS, or the Mountain des Sables, I kind of. I took about a month, 6 weeks to make the decision to commit to this, if you get what I'm saying, like, because
I'd say
it's a huge
takes about that long.
commitment. Yeah,
Huge commitment.
and I was it was overwhelmed by the size of it, not just the row and the preparations, but also the fundraising side and the charity side and all that. So I was like, are you ready for this? And because this is all in, like,
heavy traffic,
literally, this is your life for the next kind of 18 months. So then I that day or whatever that I committed by paying the entrance fee, because it's a race format. So I'll be racing against like 28 other boats. Now, when I say that, some of those boats are 4-man boats, 3-man boats, and 2-man boats. There's just 7 of us kind of solo lunatics at the back.
The Irish!
Yeah.
At the back.
Because they leave us, I say that because we all start on the same day, but they start us at 15-minute intervals and they leave the solos right to the end. So I have to look at all these other boats taking off going, I'll never see them again, because they're obviously much faster. So
Take a picture.
yeah.
And the thing is, even the company of being on a boat with somebody else is different. Either that or you'd kill him. You'd go out as a double man and you'd come back as a single man.
I don't know how
you didn't make it.
I don't know how those lads do it in the 2-man boats, because I don't care if it's be very hard, even if it's your best mate.
Oh, me too. I'd drown them.
It's a 7-meter long, 2-meter wide at its widest point boat, so there's not a lot of space to get away from them.
100%. It would be a Royal Rumble to the death on that boat. Would be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Whoever goes overboard stays overboard.
Last man standing. Yeah.
Like, so when you're packing up your boat, you pack all your stuff in your boat. I'm gonna go through some of the stuff that you'd have in your boat now in a second as well. And you're pushing away, as you say, like at the end, at the last bit there, like you're gonna embark on something that's gonna take you like 40 to 90 days. Am I right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and the comparison there in between that is a huge thing to set your mind for, because the difference between 40 days and 90 days is I think when you hit the 40 mark, in between that is where the kind of the sea crazy could come in. Is it like where like you don't know how far you are from, and you be able to have to calculate it up, but and like how when you push away there, what's the last thought in your mind there? That's the last bit of land that you might see forever.
Well, forever. Perhaps.
You're going to the Atlantic.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, well, on that side, on the forever side of things, I will not take my eye off the ball safety wise, because I respect the ocean, and I'm not going out there to take any chances with that. So I have a harness on at all times, and basically anytime I come in and out of my cabin, I clip into this line that's on the open rowing deck called the jackstay, which is, you could literally hang a couple of tons off it. So,
and is that like a double clip that you can't be unclipped
exactly.
while you're clipped?
Yeah, it's a double clip in and one clip
you can't
on
be
me.
unclipped.
So
Yeah.
So I'll always have a point of contact, even if the boat's turned over, which can happen. The boats they're designed to self-right, but they you still would become separated very quickly from the boat if you weren't. I didn't have a point of contact. You know, so that's my. That is my safety line, if you want. That is literally my safety line. So that's absolutely paramount, that you're disciplined and focused, and you use that all the time. You never become complacent, because they talk about these things called rogue waves, like even if it is flat and calm, that these waves can come out of nowhere, so if it does come, I want to be prepared, and I don't want to be no regrets, so you got to be, like I said, very disciplined with that. The length, the duration of it, believe it or not, is something I don't really think about, because I don't see a lot of point in the numbers can get in the way a little bit, and they can kind of take your focus off the the kind of efficiency or the important part of the day, which is just the rowing and
taking
and
one at a time, one
at a time,
as fast as
exactly.
one day,
yeah, and just been as kind of concentrated on the you're getting the most out of every single stroke, and when you're doing that, you're concentrating on the things you can control. Again, the process, I'm going to come back to that again, but if you're concentrated on the outcome, you're just putting extra pressure on yourself that you don't really need, and you're taking your eye off the stuff you can control, which is kind of counter what you really want to be doing. So that's the way I look at that. I know it sounds strange. Now, I do visualize myself out there and what it might be like, for so long, but I've never been through it, so it's hard to get a really clear kind of like I imagine. Okay, you're going to be wet for a long time, and that's going to have certain mental kind of challenges, and just the duration of a day as well. You're going to really know what 24 hours is like.
that is another thing as well, because you literally go into like cow time, isn't it? Like it's time slows down when you're there on your own.
Yeah, very little stimulus. The noise, like you'll be kind of tuning into your five senses really kind of well. Trying to kind of take in what they're giving you, because you don't have a lot else to see. So you'll be kind of listening and smelling and just kind of passing time a little bit, or trying to stay a little bit in the moment.
And that is something I was thinking about, because like as I said, I mentioned Tom Crean. So the Tom Crean and the guys, they did an open boat. You know that heroic journey they done from Elephant Island to St. George, and it's like it was one of the most incredible navigation feats that they've ever done, because if they had missed that on that side, they would have missed Georgia and they would have floated out into open ocean. So like I remember reading about that, and like I as much information as I can about that situation, that boats, and read some of the journals and stuff like that they wrote on the boat, and it's incredible to think about like some of the silences that they talk about. Like, and these days you can, if you find silence, it's more it's like it's created silence. You're going somewhere to be quiet, to try and listen to something where it's not real. Like where like the thing that I would envy about the thing that I would love to experience about the journey you're going to say the 20-day mark in, you're still fresh, everything's still going good, and it's just silent. Because you wouldn't even hear birds out at that. There wouldn't even be birds out there. You would literally be just your own breath, the waves, and nothing else. So like you're literally probably going to one of the places that real silence still exists.
I never thought about it like that, but I know it's a very good point. And there's something inside me that kind of craves that freedom that gets you out there into those kind of great situations where you get to experience stuff that are so far from the everyday life now. It's going to be some journey. A way I kind of see it is like, losing. There'll be huge highs and lows. I imagine the first few days, again from experience, the emotion of finally getting going and all the good stuff like that, and saying goodbye to your parents, and then the first 3 days you'll be on a good buzz, and then you're probably going to lose sight of land. So then there might be, I'm thinking there's going to be a bit of a dip in morale for a few days, when you kind of, I suppose you finally realise what is in front of you. You've gone through a few days, and then I hope and I think that or I imagine that it'll be, you'll get back into you almost become a machine in your routines, and you're just going through, whatever, 3-4 hours rowing, then, 15-20 minute break, 30-minute break, whatever it may be, whatever I decide it'll be. I haven't made my mind up completely yet, and then, you just churn it out like you're a machine, and you almost become a little bit soulless,
But I think you will, like, you find that numbness, don't you? Like, I know for the fact that, say, if it comes to doing rounds, you do 2-3 rounds, especially with jiu-jitsu, because there's times where I could be doing jiu-jitsu and 2-3 rounds, and you're like, but then after that you kind of break through to, like, they say, like your second wind, I think people call it, and then could be 13 rounds later, you're looking across the mat and there's steam on the mat, and everyone's having little conversations, and it's just, to me, like, it's such a beautiful, like, something that you can't see in your hand. So I think, to me, they're the most expensive things in the world, things that you can't hold or see or feel, and I think as humans, that's what people do now. They look for a lot of gratitude through, like, social media is one of the biggest things that kind of, it's a great tool, but lately it's been doing my head in, like, people are not the same people that they are on social media and stuff now. But the good thing, as you said, about, like, but when it comes to sponsorships and it comes to, like, you trying to find funding for this and get like kind of people to know about the what's going on, that's where it's a big huge tool. But the idea of, like, you're probably going to be one of the only humans that hasn't touched social media in 90 days when you go out there, and it's kind of, it's kind of sad that we see this. So we're kind of looking at it here now. So this is the video. Have you got it here? Have you got that there for a second?
Yeah. Just thinking of all the notifications you're gonna have when.
The instant gratification.
But this is like, as I said, I've watched this video and this is incredible. So
The minute
let's
you
try listen to
stand
this.
still is the minute you're dead.
The minute you stand still is
I
the
call
minute
it a
you're
deep
dead.
reward.
What a line.
It's the opposite to the instant gratification we seem to all be chasing. I am in love with the world. I love exploring. I love the freedom of it. I love the simplicity of it. Just throwing on a backpack, hopping on a plane and arriving in a country I've never been in, and the sights and the sounds and the smells, and it brings so much life and energy and drive to my existence. I'm also just curious. It was always going to happen. The actual rows and the runs in the mountains are just avenues for that primal side of me to come out and take on the challenge. Maybe I'm just the type of person who'll never be completely satisfied in what he's achieved. My next challenge is a 4,800 kilometer solo and unsupported row across the Atlantic Ocean. I have no maritime experience. I don't go into these huge endeavors knowing that I will beat whatever challenge is in front of me. I'll go in to be challenged and see how I react. Everything seems so much simpler and easier and slower when you've gone through these extremes. And that's the greatest reward.
I was watching this when we saw it and he said, how did he get a cameraman up there, Dad? It's a drone, son. Oh. Well, like,
That was
does that give you the,
yeah.
oh shit,
Like,
this is what I'm actually doing now?
no, not really. It just kind of reconfirms a lot of stuff for me, you know, because like you don't think about that stuff every day. You know, I'm
No.
not sitting at home
I know.
philosophizing about, you know.
100%.
So when you hear it again, you're like, oh yeah, I remember saying that, and yeah, you know, that's what I'm about. Like deep down, that's the kind of stuff that's important to me, you know. But like I think some people kind of get the impression sometimes that you're like that's what goes, you know, that's your everyday existence there.
Same
like,
with me.
but,
I'm saying, like I have said some stuff in interviews and I've listened to, like people have sent me quotes and I'm like, who said that? I'm like,
Yeah,
you. And I'm
right.
like, that's good.
yeah. Quite proud of that one, yeah.
I think maybe that's what makes it more authentic, you know what I mean? That like maybe when you are saying that stuff that you're kind of not even answering a question, but you're just kind of like trying to justify what that question means to you out loud. That's what I do think about when I'm kind of questioning about people, like what's it like when like the hard times are in fighting and stuff like that, and you feel like quitting on yourself, and I think it just kicks in. You can't answer them questions until you've been in their moments.
Yeah.
That's why when you talk about challenging yourself there, it comes in. So
Sure, and
on
the
the
more
boat,
but the more like the more times you put yourself back into those positions to be challenged is kind of the more deeper understanding you have of it, and the more I don't know, the more essence there is to those experiences, you know, and that's why I keep going back to them. And I know, like I always will be pushing myself, because I do believe that first line is like the minute you stop pushing yourself or the minute you settle is the minute you're fucked. Like,
yeah,
you know,
no,
it's over,
and
you know?
when I remember when I heard that as well, I was like, whoa, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Like the idea of you putting in that much work and putting in like the risk as well that's involved in it to prove to yourself that I think that the biggest growth is in the darkness. You
Sure,
know?
definitely.
Like, I get more motivated when stuff is going wrong than I do when stuff is going right. I think when stuff is going right, I take my eye off the ball a little bit.
Well, there's a great, you probably know this quote, there's a great Bruce Lee quote where he says, don't pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one.
Yes.
And, you know, I love that quote. It just, I don't know, it resonates with me so much. And I feel like that we're surrounded by this kind of Western culture now where it's all about being more comfortable and taking less risk, and there's, you know, the whole nanny state bullshit, like, but, you know, it's like risk has been devalued, and it's a bit of a crying shame because there's so much power in pushing yourself to take risks, and there's so much personal learning, like, and there's so much you can get out of it, you know. But we're not given that line, that kind of narrative now. It's what's fed to us through our media and media stations, or just the information we're getting all the time is don't take risks, you know. Unfortunately, we get it from people who are surrounded with us as well. Like, my mum was always telling me, stop taking risks.
My mum, like, was like, what are you doing? Get a real job. And I was like, this is all right, this is gonna work out. And like, she always like, safety first.
Yeah.
But as I said, I think it's in Ireland, I think. That's just Irish people, isn't it, that like to be safe, but that rogue is in us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are the nation of, like, that we want to secretly be miserable. Do you know what I'm saying? Secretly be miserable in a way, you know? Like, I think when the recession was going down, people are secretly having a great time. You know what I mean? I was like, no one expects us to do anything. It's grand now. When the expectation is on us, that's when we...
Right,
that's when we have to stand up and do it.
Yeah.
So the 90 days, I was going to say to you, I had to ask you this question as well. So if you are out there for 90 days, like, you're obviously going to be sustaining from, like, getting the leg over and stuff like that.
For
so,
sure. I hope so, anyway.
like, unless you can find any some mermaids.
Mine can play powerful tricks on you.
Yeah.
You'll think something.
Visualization is a great thing, especially when you're in the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
So, like, for 90 days, you're probably going to sustain from having sex and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, you're definitely going to sustain from having sex. Yeah, you like life is
See the
going
way
to
I say probably, because the chances are always still there, even though I'm in the Atlantic. You never know.
Yeah, like, listen, like, life is going to be very simplified, you know. It's going to be like 4 things as far as I can work out: row, sleep, eat, and, like, just maintain the boat and the systems, you know. It's going to be like, it'll be pretty monotonous, but in that simplification comes a lot of good stuff as well, you know. That you can kind of that you forget, you know, that now you have time to kind of think a little bit more, and you have space, and, you know, there's, you know, the point I just made there about, like, we're constantly bombarded with information all the time now, and this is going to be the complete opposite, you know. And I think that information overload, like, it does a lot of bad stuff with your mind. Like, it puts you in a fog at times, and, you know, it doesn't give you a lot of clarity in your thoughts, because you don't have singular thoughts, you know, that you can kind of dwell on and figure out.
Yeah.
Because they're passing, they're gone, and, you know, like, one thing is, then you're hit with another thing, you're like, Jesus Christ, you know, what's going on? So I'm looking forward to being back in. I get that from traveling as well. When I move around on my own in the world, I get that space and time to kind of, you know, simplify my thoughts and get a bit of clarity. So I think it'll be exaggerated in this context, you know, because now I have very little stimulus to
there's
take my
nothing,
mind off.
like,
There's nothing.
there's not even, like, steps that you're taking. It's just a pure road that you take as well.
Yeah, but it'll make any sort of encounters I do have, like, I imagine it'll make them incredibly special, you know. Like, if a pod of dolphins are going to come past, or even a bird landing on the bloody boat or something, it'll just be like, wow.
Whales as well.
Whales, that, I think that'll be a wow anyway, you know, if I saw them anywhere. But
yeah.
But, like, it'll just, real simple things will just be, you know, amplified by that space and that lack of stimulus that I'm going to go through, you know.
So probably a silly question, but the idea of, like, icebergs and stuff like that, like, is there a possibility that you could come in between that? No,
because we go so far south, you know. Like, so you can go across the Atlantic 2 ways. The routes are basically from where I'm going, the Canary Islands, across the Caribbean, or you can go from America, Canada, back this way. Then they normally head for England or France. They miss Ireland just because the way the Gulf Stream comes down. But you can come in at Ireland. I think it's a little bit more tricky. Now, if you took that route, there is probably a possibility of icebergs, you know, up around Iceland and that, and you know, off the coast of Canada. But the route we go, it's kind of, if you imagine the Canaries, you kind of go southwest, and then you're going towards kind of like the equator, you know, and then you get to, like, 17th parallel and you go across. So it'll be quite, once you get down there, it'll be warm days and kind of cool nights, you know. I'm generalizing now, but generally it will be, and you could hit low systems where it's going to be storms or whatever. But
And so if you got into trouble, so
Yeah.
you've obviously thought about that as well.
of course, it depends on what the trouble is. Like if it's a serious, like things that'd probably take you out are obviously serious illnesses.
That's what we think would be the number one on the list, wouldn't it
Yeah.
be? Would be illnesses
Yeah, or the boat sinking, basically.
or the boat sinking.
Yeah, but
sorry,
the thing
that's number one on the
the thing
list.
about
definitely.
the boat is you can cut that boat in half and both sides will float off. Like it's compartmentalized.
Oh, so it's made like that.
Yeah, exactly. Now you wouldn't do much rowing after it was all cut in half, like
I
but,
know, this is
float
about to
along.
say.
Yeah,
Someone flying out. Look at this crazy Irish man. Just rolling it halfway out the England and he was cutting his boat in half.
so yeah, you just so I have a life raft on board, but literally you wouldn't be getting into it unless the last step you made was the boat just going under. You know what I mean? Because that's the safest thing you can be on. It's much safer than the life raft, and you have all your supplies and your water maker on board. The illness one is obviously huge. Like there's some things, if it happens, I don't know, like you're probably out of the race.
Diarrhea and stuff like that.
I know, like I'm talking about, I suppose, like if you had some sort of kidney infection or something like that. But we have like some serious drugs on board. Like I don't talk about the
Nice
recreational stuff. But like if you were to have some sort of illness, we have all sorts of antibiotics and we have all sorts of pain relief there that may sustain you to get to the other side. I suppose there's a lot of personal stuff there. It'll depend on what the person and what he's going through, and if he feels he can somehow get to the other side or manage the malady or whatever it is. So. Yeah, again, it doesn't bear a lot of thinking about it. You do think about it, you take windows. You're aware that it could happen, but you don't dwell on it too long.
Not like anything.
Yeah,
you can't. But it has to come in the thought of it.
Yeah,
and I think as well, you do react better in the moments of that. Such as long as you're prepared and you have the stuff there.
Completely. Yeah, you back yourself a little bit, don't you? You kind of think, well, listen.
I'll come through that.
Deal with that, or whatever it happens, we'll deal with it in the time,
It's a great ability yourself. Being able to back yourself is a great ability. I think the best person you can kind of back and trust on, you have to be able to trust yourself.
Sure.
And I have a rule: the only person you never lie to is yourself.
Yeah.
Because he knows the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So and the idea of like say so cooking, can you fish? Is that you're gonna have like a little handrail, I'd imagine?
You actually can fish, yeah. Some crews don't bother, but like I've talked to obviously when you're doing this, you research it a little bit and you talk to past rowers, and apparently like the lads say, well, let me reference that, because all you eat is expedition foods, astronaut foods. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So imagine if you're eating that for 40 days and then you finally catch a fish and you have like sushi basically.
Morale as well.
Yeah, the freshness and a proper food source, and apparently it's just meant to be, out of this world. So you bring along like some condiments, like some soy sauce and salt and pepper, and just in case you do.
And you
catch
just
something.
go sushi on it, would you?
Yeah, you just got it and eat it. Yeah.
So you will not be eating any like hot food or
I
cooked
couldn't
food.
cook. I don't have facilities to cook it. My only facility is to boil water.
And
Now you possibly could, but like you'd never boil water in that one pot again, but so I just boil water. So the water comes from the sea. I don't carry any water because obviously weight, and so I have a thing called a water maker on board that sucks water up from the seawater and then just runs it through a load of filters, so it literally desalinates it, takes all the salt out of it, and it takes all any goodness out of it as well. So it's just, and then you boil that up and you add it to your expedition foods.
and is that like a non-motorized piece of equipment?
Yeah, it's just gas. So we bring it's just a gas, like a camping gas.
So
cooker.
if something went wrong, because the things I would be thinking about with the crucial things like war, definitely.
Yeah.
Can something go wrong with that
They
mechanism?
can, yeah, and they often do cause problems. A lot of it is down to how you run power on the boat. So the boat is powered by the sun, like there's solar panels all over the boat. So they go into 2 batteries, and you have to be really careful with how you use that power, and you don't run the batteries down too much because there's no coming back for them. Even if you run one of them below 60%, you're going to have a lot of problems, believe it or not, down the line. So you have to always be watching the systems and what they're doing and how much you're using the power. The big draw of power on the boat is either one of 2 things. It's either the the water maker, and an autopilot, which is basically just a system that steers when you don't want to steer. I don't have one of them on my boat. I wanted to kind of I didn't see the benefit.
That kind of keeps
benefit.
you on course, like.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you were to sleep and stuff like that.
It's exactly that. It's linked up to the GPS system. So basically what I'll do is I'll plot my way across the Atlantic through waypoints, which are just GPS coordinates. And if I had an autopilot while I'm sleeping, or if I'm just tired from steering, you steer with my foot, I put that on, and that steers the rudder for me between those waypoints. But they can be very troublesome as well. Anything can be, because it's just the conditions and the environment you're going into is so extreme, you know. So I don't have one of them. So I should be okay power-wise, just managing my power. My big power draw is the water maker, and I put that on when the sun is at its highest, you know, when there's most sun on the polar panels. So I won't put the extra strain on it, and I make my water at that time, so maybe 5 to 6 litres for the day, and then turn it off, you know, and just be very vigilant and careful in how I run that. So I have my supply for the day to keep myself kind of hydrated. And if there is a problem with that, I have a handheld one.
That's what I was thinking, is that there's a backup.
There's a backup for everything, yeah. So a handheld one. Problem with the handheld one is it takes an hour you have to pump on it. It takes an hour of pumping to get about a litre of water. And of course, when you're not rowing, you don't want to be pumping this bloody thing.
You're not going to be doing much other pumping on the 90 days, so.
Yeah, touche, yeah.
Who knows, you might be able to dish it out. No, I'm only messing with you.
Yeah.
So the idea as you're coming in to land, so you've done your time, you've been through the hardest times mentally, you've seen the darkness, you've seen pods of, you've seen waves, and you come through that on the other side. There's no, you have to go through it. You can't buy that growth. You have to earn that growth.
Yeah.
And as you're coming in, the first sighting of land, have you thought about that moment?
Very little. One thing I have used with those moments, I've seen a lot of the past rowers, their kind of entry into the final, into finish line or whatever, and just like the images are just incredible. Like, you know, you have these guys and they're emancipated and they're tanned and the beards, and they're just roaring with relief and just euphoria, you know. So throughout this whole process, you know, there's been, like with everything in life, there's been highs and lows, and during those lows I've kind of used those as motivation, you know, as a kind of that's the end point, and you're going to get to that. And you know, even now when if I watch back, like Gavin, an Irishman did it last year, Gavin Hennigan, if I watch back anyone, I get quite emotional. Irishman? He was the second one, yeah.
1860.
No, there was a guy. Well, he was the second one in this race. There's been a few guys who've done it independently, but he did it in like 49. A guy did it. He did it in 49 days, and a guy from Limerick, Sean McGowan, I think, did it in like 118 days.
Oh, yeah. He must have thought he missed land. There's no doubt he was doubting.
Thought he was going to hit.
I don't care what all the GPS say. We have missed land.
Yeah. I don't think he
took
had
a few
much
days
GPS.
off on the way.
I think he was like.
That's it. Like, to make that distance, where no matter what days it is like I think the longer is probably the worst, isn't it?
Without a doubt.
Like, it just means you're faster when you get there. And what's your goal to do? Is your goal to complete it, or is your goal to be the fastest to do it?
No, my goal is to complete it.
Yeah.
You know, if you'd asked me a year ago, I might have answered differently. Like, I had all these like ideas. I suppose I've learned so much over the year that it's kind of humbled me a little bit. Like, I was like, oh, I'll try and win the race and all that sort of stuff. But like, there's so much out of your control, you know, and there's so much I don't know about what's going to happen. I was like, that's just, you know, you're just being arrogant and that sort of stuff. So I just want to complete it. What I want to get out of it really is, like, I want to push my limits as well. So I want to kind of get across as fast as I can, be what it may, you know, be that 100 days or 60.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I can, you know, face up to myself on the other side and say, you know, you pushed yourself as hard as you could there, because you know, I want to get the maximum out of it. You know, I don't want to have like no regrets.
Yeah.
I don't want to regret anything.
No,
so
definitely.
That's where I'm at with that, I think.
Do you really think so? A little bit of a serious question. So, say it comes to the time, we all live our life, we all come to our deathbed. Are these going to be the moments that you're going to think about, like, that nobody else, can't even explain what they're like out in the middle of these places, deep inside yourself, that you're going to think of?
Yeah, completely. Like, when I think of my kind of my major motivations, like, Now it's the same thing, like, but one of them is like life and the other one is death. Now they're obviously very linked, but like I think it's a bit of a cop out, or we're just conditioned to think about death as a depressant. You know? But it can be so empowering if you flip it, you know, and you imagine. Like we're all going to be there. Like everyone is on it. We have a finite amount of time, so we're all going to get there sooner or later. So you got to be able to, you know. I talked there a second ago about looking yourself in the mirror. You got to be able to look in the mirror and go, "Did I give that my best shot? Did I get the most out of it?" And 100%. I can't think of anything more, you know, sad than getting there and saying, "No, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that." So, yeah, I use that a lot to motivate myself in what I want to do and my perspective on life, you know. And just to have the most extraordinary experience, and these are extraordinary experiences, you know. So that's why I kind of pursue them and challenge myself with them.
Definitely, I think the same way about death, probably the way you do. Yeah. I think you earn death in a way if you make it to 80, 90 years of age. I think not that you would want to die then, but you kind of earn the right of saying, right, I want to see what happens on the other side of this now, because I've been doing this for so long, and I think within your life, your legacy is outstanding by how you treat people.
Absolutely,
and you know what, another thing as well, how you treat people when other people aren't looking. That's a huge part of it, I think. And absolutely. I think the definition of a man is how he treats other people, you know. And if you can go to your grave saying, like, you did things for yourself, which would be what you're embarking, but this stuff's gonna, like, there's no doubt someone when you're a little bit older is gonna come to you and say, like, I need you to help me, and tell me, like, the same way you've gone to people to help on your journey. I feel like that would be my own journey as well. So even though you're past your journey, it's you have an important piece to play, no matter what you're doing, and no matter what you're growing. And like most people, the young people out there, you back me up on this, is the first thing you're going to meet is, you can't do that. So that's the Irish way, you know.
Yeah. We can only control what's, you know, within us, you know. So like you said there, your character is how you treat people and what you do when no one else is looking. So, you know, if somebody comes to make sure that person, you try and be, you know, if somebody comes to you with that attitude, I just try and be as, the first thing that happens is defenses come down and like, no, just try and explain this to this guy so he gets a little bit of clarity on it, because that's the only way you can change that behavior or that mindset, you know. And you'd just love to say, no, you're fucking wrong, you know, but like you kind of have then that guy is just not in a space to learn anything. So I just try and be as kind of patient with those type of people and just go, well, no, I believe you can, and this is why I believe you can, you know. And then you might change an attitude, and then that's powerful, you know. And if you just do that once in your life, Jesus, it's a pretty good thing to be able to do.
That's actually, as a coach, I get to, you know what, that's a huge thing that I get to do, because, and especially, I'm a little bit smaller than people, so it's kind of like I always get a go, how do you be? And then we grapple or we roll, and they're like, oh, it's different now. How do you weigh like that? What did you do to me there? Why am I waking up? But I've like any of my students will vouch. I've one or two guys that would train with me, and especially one guy, and he this doesn't work, that doesn't work, triangle doesn't work. You will choke him, he'll tap out and say, still didn't work. Right. And it's like, someday I'm gonna be,
that's a real challenge.
I'm gonna have to kill you, mate. Just but I literally, and the amount of people that say to me, the patience that you have, Paddy, and I say, that's my job. That's who I am as a person. If I can keep my patience over a little while and get to him and change his way of looking on the outlook of like I know when I found it was like the Matrix. It was like, I thought when you are bigger, you are better. When you are, all of this stuff is more is better, you know. But then I realised that, hold on, when you think of stuff and you unravel it, and as you said, you get it on its own in your brain, and it's not a passing thought, where people live on that like kind of slideshow passing thought kind of idea. As we're talking about slideshows here, Shane made me ask, he said, I have to ask you about Tinder. Since we said sliding left, sliding right, he had to ask me, where's the best place in the world for Tinder?
Moscow.
He said the same thing.
It's absolutely.
He said the same thing. Phenomenal.
Never seen it
like a joke. Like a joke.
Oh my god.
And
I never felt so good about myself.
Where is it you say that you land again?
What's that? Oh, Antigua.
Would you be logging on in Antigua?
Rapidly, yeah. Once I come inside the land.
Pushing people out of the way. Swipe left.
connection. Where is it?
Well, you probably won't even have a phone with you, would you?
No, I'll bring it because I got a system actually just recently where I can use my phone to send data. So, you know, if anyone wants to follow along, I'll be literally sending little video
100%.
clips.
Have you any
and
details on
photos.
that? So
Yeah, so well, if you just go to DamianBrowne.com, all my social medias are there, and I'm going to have a guy running that for me while I'm away, and I'll be sending him I don't want anything to do with like social media, so I just want to take whatever the images are, or I just want people to be able to follow my journey, and then get rid of it, and somebody else is going to do it here, and.
But is there any way you'd be able to do like video footage and send it?
Yeah, so I'll have small little videos,
excellent.
maybe up to about a minute long. So I invested in this, they trialled it last year on one boat and went really well. But before that, it was kind of, you couldn't send data, photos or anything from the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a real unique thing to be able to do it. So hopefully it kind of gets a lot of engagement,
we will be all over this.
Yeah, because it's a mad thing to
I follow people on Instagram that are like, Joe Rogan has put a few guys up, and like they're bow hunters, and then there's other guys have kind of went down there, and like I'm on like the edge of my seat watching this, and it's like it's better than television. Because it's like, and I don't watch television really, but when I'm watching this show, like, it gives you these ideas, like maybe I could do that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's inspirational. Yeah, you know.
It's just time though, isn't it? Like I'm 29 now, but I definitely do plan that when I push the gym and I push this kind of stuff of taking a little bit of time and doing some crazy stuff. You know, like kind of have. Being on my own, doing some hikes somewhere on my own.
Yeah.
I do go a bit of hiking in Ireland now as a few places. You have dogs? You have a dog?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
what's he feel about this whole situation?
I don't know who's going to miss who more. I think I'll miss him a lot more than he'll miss me. He'll be well looked after.
It's incredible
by my parents,
the bond you can have with your dog,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of my charities is actually I'm raising money for this at the same time, for 3 charities through the row, and one of them is Madra out in Connemara.
Excellent.
They take dogs from out of the pounds, and they try and rehome them all around the world. So I'm a big dog lover because of the relationship I've had and everything that's given me from owning a dog. So I absolutely recommend everybody should get.
What kind of dog have you got?
I have a golden retriever.
A golden retriever, so smart as anything.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, exactly. And loyal. I see a lot of me emulated in him, and him emulated in me.
I think that does happen. That does happen. Yeah. My own dog Frank he's kind of like me, but he was the runt of the litter, and he's a little bit stupid. So sometimes she says it, and I'm like, I don't know if that's an insult or not, But no, he definitely does things like me. He's food clever, Right, he knows when the food's going down. He knows where to be when it's falling. He positionally for food, he is perfect. You would throw something at the bin, and he's sitting beside that bin.
He's waiting there for the rebounds.
I'm in the way of it. Anyway, so what have you got? You got anything?
News.
So something to take us off the
news.
The subject, some news.
So what's been happening this week?
Robin's roundup. What have you been rounding up, Robin?
Well, North Korea have sentenced Donald Trump to death.
I thought that happened already.
Yeah, so I guess he can never go there now.
He could never go to North Korea.
Yeah, they called him a coward also because he was supposed to go to the border, but he turned around because he said the weather was bad or something.
Yeah, I can imagine how that trip was going. They were on the way. They seen all the boys standing on the border. I'm kind of like, it's actually looking a bit cloudy over there.
Is that rain?
But that guy is. How he's allowed to run his own Twitter, how he runs this stuff, and I don't know how he runs his Twitter stuff. He says you can't even comment anymore because you don't even know whether it does be said or not said anymore. That's kind of a huge thing. That's why I think podcasting's getting so big, because it's actually like you can call somebody into a room and say, what is going on there?
Hold them accountable a little bit.
Hold them accountable, Hold on, you said this.
Yeah, you said that, and what was this? Yeah.
What else?
Sophie the robot. Have you heard about her?
No.
So it's this robot who's taking the internet by storm.
Okay.
I think originally she said she was going to destroy the human race, but people seem to forget that. But anyway, she'll be doing,
that's a huge part of the conversation.
Apart from that, she's a lovely robot. So people have been giving out this week because she's been doing really well. Like, she's been doing a few TV interviews. She's been in all the magazines. And she was at a tech conference in Saudi Arabia there during the week. Saudi Arabia, who have just recently let women drive in their country, have gone all out now and offered Sophie a citizenship.
Wow.
She
That's
in
incredible.
Hello, she was. She had a photo shoot in Hello.
She probably was. Everybody's been in Hello. I've probably been in Hello.
Was she dressed appropriately?
Yeah. The thing is, here's the thing about her. Have you seen any pictures of Sophia or anything like that?
No.
Because she's supposed to be based off Audrey Hepburn,
What?
who's pretty,
Mm.
you know, Audrey Hepburn.
Back in the day.
Yeah, let me see if I can get a picture of her here.
This is
Tell
something
me what
I
you think.
definitely
Tell
thought
me.
I'd never be talking about.
Tell me if you see a resemblance. Oh yeah, there she is there. I think it's it must be in the eyes.
She looks more like Sinead O'Connor,
Yeah.
doesn't she?
A little bit.
Oh, it must be the haircut.
Poor Sinead. But
You know, she looks like Sinead O'Connor.
Doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
That is the weirdest thing you ever could have brought up. Was the
that's just
no, I'm only
well, anyway, moving on.
the citizenship of robots.
This one may interest you, Damien. New planet's been discovered this week, and it's, in terms of size, surface temperature, it's pretty much identical to Earth.
Mm.
It's only 11 light years away, so maybe you'd think of traveling there.
I might try the moon first, man.
Yeah. One step at it.
Would that be something you'd be interested in?
No, I don't think so. No,
Too far? Too
I
far
think-
from home?
Yeah, no, I'd love to get up there. Like, you know, there's a few. I don't know if you ever follow them on Instagram. There's a few astronauts who post photos from the space station and that. Like,
I
it's
follow NASA's
absolute-
thing.
Yeah, NASA
Yeah.
as well. Just incredible stuff. So
To see something from that perspective.
I can only imagine.
Imagine
yeah.
coming back.
Yeah, it must just be like. Yeah, I've heard a
thing-
few of these guys interviewed and they're just so impressive, such impressive.
The
kind of
thing
people.
about these planets that you find, like, this happens all the time, doesn't it? It's like,
Mm.
we found this planet, we found that, like Pluto got demoted, didn't it?
Yeah,
Like, how
yeah.
do you get demoted? You must have
Downgraded.
messed up, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
a rank taken off. You're now a moon. But, like, how does it work when, like, you find these planets and they say, oh, they found life on this planet, and you're like, oh, interesting. But then it just disappears. You never hear of it again.
Yeah.
It's like maybe 20 years' time it's going to come back around. Remember that thing we were researching? Yeah, it was all bullshit.
They reckon there's. I just heard something on the radio the other day, but there's just like billions
Oh,
of planets
billions.
out there that-
Well, if we are here and we're like if we're the product of, especially the Irish people, of a random occurrence, there has to be more. There has to be, because there's no doubt people just
Maybe
pop.
that's why people, let that stuff slide, because it's just mind blowing.
Oh,
Like, you don't want to dwell on it too long.
Well-
You don't know where you're gonna go.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
You think it will happen in our lifetime? Will we meet aliens?
No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
Here's the thing: everyone says, "What do they look like?" But what would they think if they saw us?
That's a little bit of a mind boggler there. That's a late night question.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No.
And I think if we do in our lifetime, it'll be hid up, it'll be lied about, it'll be all until they know everything about it.
I think we've other things to be worrying about.
Yeah, you can't be going down that road. Like, if you stick like Area 51, you can be there for days,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
literally, and all of a sudden you're a believer.
Yeah.
We'll take some sports news, will we?
Let's go.
Okay, so just moving on to combat sport. Katie Taylor defending her title in December.
She's so active, isn't she? That's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing. Like the minute she hit the professional ranks, she literally hit the ground running. You know what I mean? She's got good management behind her, and she's an absolute. I think the pro game suits her a little bit better because she can sit on her shots and like her combinations. She's not just going and hitting people. She's hitting people with like setting up combinations. She's an incredible fighter, credible Irish sports person as well.
Absolutely. Unbelievable. We should be incredibly proud of her. You know what she's achieving. Moving on from the amateurs into the pro ranks, and she's not sitting on her laurels. She's taking it on head on. And
One after
flying
the
into
other.
it. Yeah, and it's very, very impressive, I must say.
Really, and she's
Yeah.
taking on the best. There's no bums she's fighting. You know what I mean? She's fighting good quality opposition, and as I said, like she's putting these people away in impressive style. She's landing combinations rather than it's scraping out decisions. You know what I mean? She's
Yeah. Top 10 greatest ever athlete, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
100%.
no, absolutely.
Paul McGrath had to be in there though. Ooh, ah.
MMA news. Anderson Silva.
Oh, pharmaceutical Anderson Silva. I don't know. Like, that's like Santa Claus not being real, isn't it? You know.
What's the news?
Like, he was caught, busted for PEDs.
Okay.
And like,
Again.
and I don't know how much of a fan of MMA, but Anderson Silva was like, I know when I was coming up through the game, he was a god. You know what I mean? Now, it's when you see these things happening now, especially when you saw it coming in, the amount of guys getting busted, you just wondered did the whole foundation of the sport be like, was that busted as well? You know what I mean? Because in combat sports, like, I'm not saying I don't mind people doing PE. I think Tommy Tiernan said it great. Someone wants to run 100 metres in 10 seconds, I say let him. You know what I mean? But the idea of fighting another person, like even in rugby, like if someone's to do PEDs, you're colliding with somebody else and you're using a drug that's not made for human beings, you know what I mean? And like whatever they're using it for, sometimes everyone thinks steroids, they think of growth, they think, oh, but they don't look like it. But when you think of things like the blood doping and stuff like that, like for cardio purposes, that's a dangerous thing to be doing against somebody else that engine is just not as big as yours. It's like racing a car with a bigger engine against an engine you can't win, you know what I mean? It's very hard. But then the guys that came off it have really fell for grace because you would be a mentally tough guy and you can't build that. You can't mentally inject a mentally tough brain, you know what I mean? And behind it all, that'll always fall, I think. But I'm shocked to hear that because Anderson comes across as such a nice, humble guy as well. And, you know, I don't know. But
it's hard to, because he was caught before, right? So it's hard to kind of...
Yeah.
You know, there's just systematic decisions made there where we're going to try again. And now there's all this, you know, like you said, they're in there and they're clearing the place out. So
100%.
you kind of have to go, why? Like, you know, why is it?
It's
so
the guys that
important
did before, I think. I think they can't, like, they fought, they lost, and they had that, I'll just try it again.
Yeah, it gave me so much, right?
His age as well.
Yeah.
What age is Anderson at this stage?
He's
in the twilight of his career. So.
Oh, he's old now, you know. But the thing is about Anderson, like, he could have been like Armstrong. Like he could have went out. Like it's the addiction of the sport and the winning that brings you back to it. Like where his legacy was intact and he was away. And the amount of guys that we won't know that legacies are intact that have gone and never came back. You know what I mean? Where a lot of these guys have slipped up. But I don't know. It's good to see you sat in there cleaning out the sport. And anyway, so I was like. A part of your legacy, part of your person. I was proud to be able to finish my sport, to finish my career and say, never in my life did I do PEDs or mess with anything like that, you know what I mean? And you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, as you said, and know that about yourself. Them guys don't know. Them wins that they have, if they had used PEDs in that preparation, they truly look in the mirror and they say to themselves, they know, you know. They know,
and that's what counts at the end of it.
100%. Why
doesn't matter what other people
no.
think. You just think yourself, like
exactly. Do you know that? How you hold yourself accountable.
So Michael Bisping just fought last week, and he's fighting again in China, the other side of the world, against Kevin Gastelum. You think it's too soon?
Nah, Michael Bisping's a beast, you know. He was, and as he says, he passed out the right medical things, because that's what I was first thinking. Like, would he not be on a medical suspension after being choked out? But apparently not, you know. So I think he's passed the right things. But like, maybe this is where he lines up a win, gets another big fight, and then retires. And that man has more UFC wins than anybody, so nobody deserves the right to do it more than him. But like,
he's brave, he's just a brave guy. Like,
that's it.
That's backing it up.
I think the idea.
He gets there and trades, doesn't he?
He goes for that. And he's been there so long. I remember I fought in Glasgow, and he was having his breakfast the same time as we had the winning the night before that as well. And like seeing him with his family and stuff like that, he's such a. That's who he is. You know what I mean? You can see that's why he goes out and fighting. That's why he does it. But the idea of him jumping back in there against Kevin Gastelum as well. Like Kevin is a good wrestler, you know what I mean? Every time I hear that guy, I can't hear on the Ultimate Fighter. Do you remember the time Do you ever see that moment on the Ultimate Fighter? He's making weight. He is up in the bat. I think it's Chael Sonnen's putting him a bat. He is, and he's downstairs, and he's at the fridge. And where's he gone? And he goes downstairs, and he's downstairs making a burrito. And they're about to put him into a bat to make a swan. And he said, "I'm fueling my body." Every time I hear his name, it's like I hear that going over in my head. Like when I see the little mouse, and it's like, handle. You know what I mean? Same way I hear him in my head, "I'm fueling my body." But he like serious wrestling. I was actually for the time that he fought in the main event of the Ultimate Fighter. I can't remember who he fought. I think he lost it anyway. But I was on my trial for the Ultimate Fighter the exact next day. And me and my friend flew over and we got tickets. And we were sitting there up at the top, right in the nosebleeds clouds. And I remember saying to him, "This is the start of it all for us, you know. We were over here to take this by storm." And from that day, it kind of just started creeping uphill, you know. But that's it. Bisbing's an animal. Just to round her off.
The warrior. Nate Diaz, Tyron Woodley. Possible for 219? You think it'll happen?
I don't know. It's kind of out. That flew out of the woodwork, didn't it? Out of nowhere. Like Woodley can land a shot now, and Diaz, as we know, is like a zombie. You know what I mean? He can take a shot. So if there's the equivalent of somebody being able to throw a shot and somebody being able to land a shot, it's that. But then I think the jiu-jitsu department, but like, can he get Woodley down? You know what I mean? He's a small tree, isn't he? So how does he get him down to the ground? But like, I think jiu-jitsu wise, Diaz is far better than him. You know, maybe the distance will matter. Diaz is really good boxing, keeping the distance against him. But I don't think it really even matters now. Like belts and all of that, I don't know anymore if it's just people want fights now. You know what I mean? People like, he doesn't like him. Let him fight. Now it does take away the credibility of the ranking system in a way, but like
Sells,
yeah, the ranking system's a little bit bored. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't like him, let him fight him. Yeah. That's the best way it should be.
People love that.
They don't like fight. Yeah, that's the way. I think so. But like, and the thing is, it settles everything. It's the most ancient way of solving problems. You know what I mean? Donald Trump and your man, they should have a knock.
We're going with this one, man.
They should have a knock. Now, she'd have to wear clothes because I don't want to see Donald Trump halfway in the nip. Or the other lad. Don Young Kim, is it? Yeah.
So, just closing off MMA news, Darren Till wants to fight Wonderboy.
I think Darren Till can fight anybody. There's a lot of guys coming through the game, I think, that are like, I won't say... not of old school, but he's like that old school type that ground all the way up. Like I heard a story of him. He got stabbed in Liverpool or something like that, and his coach told him to leave and move to Brazil. He moved to Brazil. He didn't have any language. He learned Portuguese. Like one of these guys that literally, you know, like would have spent a lot of time on his own, learned a lot about himself. The time I was on Dublin card, he was on the same card. So he sat beside me at the press conference, and you can just get that energy off that. Like he is the real deal. You know what I mean? Now. If I nearly wet myself a little bit when the idea of him fighting Gunny Nelson came up. Now that I don't think is a good fight for Darren Till. I think Gunny Nelson is very good control and stuff like that. But Darren Hill hits like a piston. It's like pistons when he throws his hands. Like he butchered Donald Cerrone. Now I'll go on a whim here. I would say Donald Cerrone said some stuff about him, but I don't think Donald Cerrone gives off the idea of being that guy. I'm a cowboy. I'm this and that. But Darren Till is that guy. He's the real deal, that guy, you know what I mean? And you just know when you know, you know what I mean? When you go in and a guy is like drying off his steaks in the dressing room, you know what I mean? He's like a man's man, you know? Darren Till's an animal. I'm a fan.
And finishing off my roundup for this week, 21 years ago this week, the greatest sporting comeback of all time, in my opinion. Any idea?
So what's that, 96?
96.
96, what happened in 96?
Michael Jordan, Space Jam. That's what happened.
I have seen it.
It's on the tip of my tongue, man.
I have seen that about 10 times, that film.
Where were you when Jordan landed that dunk from halfway?
Where were you?
I don't remember, man. It just didn't mean enough to me.
96, where was I? I was 8. Yeah, I was rocking on in Jobstown, snotty nose on the road, jersey down on the floor, no doubt. Next goal winner, taking
Yeah.
place. You know what I mean? So since it's no shame, I have to ask you a no shame question before we wrap this up here, right?
Shit.
We might have an exclusive one, but which will only be on the Limor app as well. So
Right.
I'll give you one here, and we'll go one after that. And it kind of goes halfway through our conversation as well. So, when's the last time you shit yourself as a grown man?
It's not springing out to me, man.
Come on, we've all had it. We've all had a shit ourselves story.
Don't. I'm on the spot. Jesus.
So what about the boat journey? There's going to be close
It's called a bucket and chuck it.
bucket and
Yeah,
chucking.
basically, it's a simple builder's bucket. Now I've put the luxury of a toilet seat around it, so for a tiny bit of comfort.
Oh, that's the
and
Irishness.
that's it, man. And it gets chucked overboard the minute it happens.
And what? With sharks following you after that, the size of you would be like, this fella lobbing food overboard. The in the desert in the race, did you not shit yourself there?
I didn't shit myself. Well, I didn't. It didn't physically touch me. I walked to the side. Did whatever everyone else was doing, and pulled down my cax and just had looked for a little tuft of grass.
That has to be a mad moment. Everyone just
It was mental, man. Like at one stage, I was quite like conservative. Like I'd go 20 meters away, but at one stage, like people would just be like 2 foot in front of you, 3 foot in front of you. They'd just step to the side, drop their cax. Like,
you get
I was
kicking
like,
sand up the
okay.
hole. That's what I'd be doing.
yeah, they
Kicking
mustn't
sand.
have wanted to walk a little bit further, but yeah, no. When you first see it, you're a little bit taken back, especially when a woman does it.
Oh, that wouldn't be easy. Yeah.
No.
Oh, coming back and just looking at normal citizens, then like, oh my god, it's within you all. So the one for Limor,
Yeah, go ahead.
What's that?
the one for Limor.
All right, yeah.
Just wrapping this up here. So from the studio, No Shame Studio, powered by Limor. You can get this on iTunes. Where the time will be closed on my Instagram and stuff like that. We haven't nailed it down yet, but consistency is going to be the key here. So we're going to pick a day and a time where we go forward and get some people's shameless moments out of them and ask them what the deep parts of these situations are like. But absolute pleasure to have you
Thanks
here,
for
man.
having
No
me,
problem.
Good luck with
absolute.
everything. It's great.
Thanks, man,
what you're
and
doing
best of
here.
luck on your
Yeah,
journey, because
thanks a lot.
it's going to be needed, no doubt, as well. Yeah, it's
Bit
not
of
an
luck
easy
will help me,
journey.
yeah, long.